Welcome to the Walton Pi. Today we're going to go through a practice problem that might show up on an early calculus test. Now, before we get started, if these sorts of videos are helpful, please consider subscribing because it really actually helps me to be able to make more of these videos. Okay, with that out of the way, let's go ahead and try and evaluate this limit. So let's look at the limit as t goes to 4 of t squared minus 16 divided by 2t squared minus 7t minus 4. Now the first thing I would do when trying to evaluate a limit is to just see if plugging in the number works. Well, if I plug in 4, then I'm going to get 4 squared minus 16 divided by 2 times 4 squared minus 7 times 4 minus 4. So that's a 0 on the top. And then let's see, we got 2 times 16, so that's 32 minus 28 minus 4, which is a 0 over 0, which is not something that we're allowed to have. So that means we need to find a different way of being able to do this rather than just plugging in. And for this problem, we are not going to be using L'Hopital's rule. So if you know what that is, we're not going to use that. If you don't worry, you're going to learn that pretty soon in this calculus class. So if we have this limit, how are we supposed to do this? Well, because the top and bottom both went to 0, that means we are probably going to want to approach this by trying to factor it. So let's try and factor both the top and the bottom. The top, t squared minus 16, this is the difference of two squares, which means that this factors as t plus 4 times t minus 4. Now the bottom is going to be a little bit trickier to factor. What we're going to need to do is we need to figure out how does that factor. If you know how it factors, great. If you're like me and don't see it, you're probably going to default to the quadratic formula, which means that our zeros are going to be t is equal to opposite b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. And now we're going to go through and figure out what these specific values are. So b in this case is negative 7, so that'll become a positive 7 plus or minus the square root b squared 49 minus 4 times a 2 times c a negative 4 all over 2a. A was 2, so that's all over 4. So this becomes 7 plus or minus the square root of, let's see, 49 plus 32, that's 81. That's a nice number. So this is going to be 7 plus or minus 9 over 4. Well, 7 plus 9 is 16 over 4. So this is going to be either 16 over 4 or 7 minus 9 is negative 2/4 or a negative 1/2. So these are the two zeros. So we got 4 equaling that. And these are the two things that we need to be the zeros of the pieces. Since we have this 4, that means we have a t minus 4 term. But then the other piece is going to be, we have 2t, but we only have a t here, so this is going to be a 2t right there. And we need the 0 to be 1/2. So if we plug in negative 1/2 in, we get a negative 1. To make that 0, we need to make that a plus 1. So those are how these top and bottom pieces factor. Now because we're inside a limit, we are able to cancel these. You can't cancel them in regular functions. You would have to include a restriction on the domain saying t can't be 4. But inside a limit, canceling without worrying about that is completely fine. So what we're left with is we are left with just the limit as t goes to 4 of t plus 4 2t plus 1. And this is something where we can just plug in the number and see what we get. So if we plug in the number, we get 4 plus 4 is 8, divided by 2 times 4 plus 1 is 9. That is not a 0 over 0, which means that this is our final answer. Thanks so much for watching. If this was helpful, please consider subscribing. And if you really liked it, please like the video. If you have other videos you'd like me to go over, please leave those in the comment section down below. And I hope you all have a great rest of your day and good luck with all of your math.